In the middle of San Francisco Bay stands a monument to the impossible, Alcatraz, a prison designed to be the end of the line. Surrounded by frigid water, brutal currents, and watched by armed guards, it was America's ultimate cage. For decades, the US government maintained a perfect record, a single, powerful claim. No one ever escaped Alcatraz alive. But that all changed one night in June of 1962. On that night, 3 men walked into their cells for the evening count and were never seen again. No bodies were ever recovered. No confession was ever made. No definitive proof of death was ever found. And so, for over 60 years, one question has echoed through history. Did they die trying to cross the bay? Or did they pull off the single greatest prison escape in American history? To understand the escape, you have to understand the prison. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary wasn't built for your average criminal. It was created for the inmates considered too dangerous, too smart, or simply too uncontrollable for any other prison in the country. It was the final stop. Located 1¼ miles offshore, surrounded by the freezing, unforgiving waters of the Pacific, Alcatraz wasn't designed to rehabilitate. It was designed to break you, to erase every last shred of hope. Inmates were told on their first day, if you break the rules here, you go to a regular prison. If you break the rules at a regular prison, you come to Alcatraz. There is nowhere else to go. The cells were tiny, just 6 feet wide. The lights were never fully turned off, casting a permanent, eerie twilight. Silence was strictly enforced. It was a world of concrete, steel, and despair. And yet, against all odds, hope survived in the mind of one man. The master plan was the brainchild of Frank Morris, a career criminal with an IQ reported to be well above average, a certified genius. He was joined by John and Clarence Anglin, 2 brothers known for their quiet discipline and incredible teamwork. Where others saw impenetrable walls, Morris saw a weakness. He noticed something the guards had overlooked for years. The prison was old. The constant salty air from the bay was causing the structure to slowly decay. He discovered that right behind the sink in his cell, the concrete wall was soft and crumbling, damaged by decades of moisture from leaky pipes. What began as simple curiosity quickly ignited into an audacious, impossible plan. The tools they used were almost comically simple. A stolen spoon from the mess hall, a makeshift drill fashioned from the motor of a discarded vacuum cleaner, and an almost superhuman amount of patience. 4 months, under the cover of the prison's designated music hour, they worked. To hide the grinding, scraping noise of their digging, Morris would play his accordion, filling the cell block with music while he chipped away at history. To hide the growing holes in their walls, they crafted fake ventilation grills out of soap, cardboard, and toilet paper, painting them to perfectly match the grimy walls. But the most brilliant part of their plan, the part that truly defied belief, was the heads. Using a paste of soap, toothpaste, and toilet paper, they sculpted lifelike dummy heads. They even stole real human hair from the prison barbershop to make them look authentic. Each night, when the guards made their rounds, they'd peer into the dim cells and see what they expected to see. 3 inmates, sleeping soundly in their beds. But the beds were empty. The real men were already gone. On the night of June 11th, 1962, the plan went into motion. At precisely 11:30 p.m., after the final count, Morris and the Anglin brothers slipped through the holes they had carved in their cells. They squeezed into the narrow, dusty service corridor that ran behind the cell block, a space no one ever thought an inmate could reach. From there, they climbed a network of pipes, ascending 3 stories up through the heart of the prison. They burst out onto the roof, into the cold, foggy night air. And waiting for them was their getaway vehicle. It wasn't a boat, it was a raft, painstakingly stitched and glued together from over 50 stolen raincoats. They had sealed the seams using heat from the prison steam pipes. At 11:35 p.m., they inflated their makeshift raft and slipped silently into the dark, churning waters of the San Francisco Bay. And after that, they vanished from the face of the earth. The manhunt was one of the largest in FBI history. The official investigation lasted for 17 years before it was finally closed in 1979. The FBI's conclusion was simple and firm. The men drowned in the cold waters of San Francisco Bay. Their reasoning was sound. The water was dangerously cold, the currents were notoriously unpredictable, and no one had ever successfully made the swim. With no bodies found, and no physical proof of survival, the case was officially closed. The legend of Alcatraz's perfect record remained intact. But the official story had holes in it. And as the years went on, strange pieces of evidence began to surface. refusing to let the mystery die. Over the decades, a counter-narrative began to form, built on strange and tantalizing clues. The Anglin family claimed they received Christmas cards, signed by John and Clarence, for several years after the escape. Their mother, they said, received a bouquet of flowers, delivered anonymously, on Mother's Day every single year until her death. Then, in the mid-1970s, a photograph surfaced. It was taken in Brazil and showed two men who bore a striking resemblance to the Anglin brothers, older, but alive and well. The family was convinced it was them. And then, the most shocking piece of evidence of all. In 2013, a letter was sent to the San Francisco Police Department. The author claimed to be Frank Morris. It read, "My name is John Anglin. I escaped from Alcatraz in June 1962. Yes, we all made it that night, but barely. Frank passed away in October 2005. I am 83 years old and in bad shape. I have cancer." The FBI analyzed the handwriting and the DNA on the envelope. The results were inconclusive. They couldn't confirm it was real, but more importantly, they couldn't confirm it was fake. So, the biggest question remains, could they have actually made it to shore? Was it physically possible? Modern scientists and researchers have tried to answer this exact question. Using advanced computer models, they recreated the tidal currents in the San Francisco Bay on that specific night in June 1962. Their conclusion was stunning. The escape wasn't just a desperate gamble, it was a precisely timed operation. If the men entered the water between 11:30 p.m. and midnight, the outgoing tide would have actually helped them, pushing their raft towards Angel Island, just north of Alcatraz. From there, a short swim to the mainland would have been possible. The escape wasn't impossible. It just had to be perfect. So why does this story still matter, more than half a century later? Because if Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers survived, it means more than just a successful prison break. It would mean that Alcatraz, the symbol of absolute control, had failed. It would mean the US government, perhaps not maliciously, but in an effort to protect a myth, had misled the public. It would prove that the most secure prison ever built was ultimately defeated not by force, but by quiet intelligence, stolen spoons, and unbreakable human will. Today, the US Marshal Service still lists the case as open and active. The three men are still wanted fugitives. No deaths have ever been officially confirmed. So what do you think really happened that night? Did three men meet a cold, silent end in the dark waters of the bay, their bodies swept out to sea forever? Or did they outsmart a system that was designed to crush them and live out the rest of their lives as free men, hiding in plain sight? One thing is absolutely certain: Alcatraz never forgave them, and history has never forgotten them. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into one of history's greatest mysteries, make sure to like and subscribe for more.